Welcome back to the Fantasy Pros YouTube channel. My name is Derek Brown, and on today's video, we're going to talk about 12 players that have league-winning upside you need to be drafting in 2024. Before we get to that, though, if you want a chance to win a signed Joe Burrow helmet for free, courtesy of our friends at pristineauction.com, all you got to do is head over to fantasypros.com/contest, complete the form, and either download the Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard app, leave a review for the podcast, or follow us on X, Instagram, or TikTok at Fantasy Pros. The more actions you complete, the more entries you receive. We'll be announcing the winner right here on the podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, be sure to subscribe and turn on these notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. Let's dive into these 12 players. All right, first player up here, and I've talked about him a ton this entire offseason. He has to be mentioned on this list. Might surprise some people. Bijan Robinson Jr. Look, I know he's an RB3 in rankings. I get that. He has RB2, RB1 upside, and we've seen this already play out, people, in previous years. In a Cliff Kingsbury offense, we all remember the good seasons that Kenyon Drake and James Conner had in this offensive system. We're also sleeping on the talent of Bijan Robinson Jr. Last year, the RB22 in fantasy points per game. He was also 13th in yards after contact per attempt and top 5 in yards per route run. So I don't care if Austin Eckler's there. I'm drafting Bijan Robinson Jr. because he's going to get the goal line work. He's going to get the pass game work, whatever there is. I know we're not expecting a ton of checkdowns from Jayden Daniels, but it's still going to be there. You need to draft Bijan Robinson Jr. Next player up here on the list, we have talked about him. I have been telling everybody and touting his praises for months now, but you got to draft Christian Watson. He has league-winning upside. That shouldn't be disputed. We've seen in stretches and spurts what Watson has and the talent that he brings to the table. And I want to specifically highlight last year. We didn't see Watson fully healthy the entirety of the season. We didn't see a fully awesome version of Jordan Love for the entirety of the season. But we did get a small little bit of insight into what maybe 2024 looks like for this duo. Christian Watson in weeks 12 and 13. When Jordan Love was on his way to playing elite football down the stretch of the back half of the season, we saw Watson explode for a 23.5% target share. He was averaging 24 fantasy points per game, and I get that was only a 2-game stretch. Christian Watson, even when he was a starter, a full-time player last year, he led the Green Bay Packers in every conceivable receiving metric that there is. So all we're asking is health, and I know that's a big if and a big ask for some, for Watson, but we cannot dispute, if he is healthy, the type of league-winning upside that he brings to the table. Draft him confidently in 2024. All right, staying on the young wide receiver train that could totally carry you to fantasy championships. Next player I have to mention here is Jaxon Smith-Njigba. Tyler Lockett, another year older. New offensive system in Seattle. We saw what Ryan Grubb did with the Washington offense. I think they're going to pass a ton and use the deep ball. Jaxon Smith-Njigba is set to explode. It is not that long ago, people, that we were all talking about how awesome he was as a prospect. You could not have scripted any worse usage or run out of luck, considering the injury as well for Smith-Njigba walking into last year that he had to deal with in his rookie season. The second year breakout, the liftoff, the league-winning upside is there for him to seize this year. And all we have to do is just get more traditional wide receiver usage. Last year, JSN, amongst 109 qualifying wide receivers that ran at least 100 routes on the perimeter, JSN was 3rd in targets per route run rate and 14th in yards per route run. All this is to tell you is he has the talent, he has the ability to actualize a league-winning ceiling this season. Okay, next player we got to discuss, heading over to the running back position, Isiah Pacheco. And I've come around on Pacheco a lot recently. Looking deeper into how his season played out last year, we have to give credence to what his role can be without Jerick McKinnon there. We saw that last year. I mean, in the 4 games without McKinnon active, he averaged 20.2 touches, over 100 total yards per game. He was the RB14 overall last year. Isiah Pacheco, if he owns this backfield, can be a workhorse, getting 20 to 22, 24 touches per game in one of the best offenses in the NFL. He has high-end RB1 upside and league-winning potential. All right, back on the love list players. Number 8 on the list, Jayden Daniels. You know the rushing that he brings to the table. You know that he has the ability to exploit defenses with his legs. But we're not also giving him enough credence about how good of a passer he is. And yes, people that are watching preseason action, you saw this. Small sample size. The bucket throw to De'Ami Brown. Ooh, chef's kiss. We could see that in spades this season for Jayden Daniels. The rushing upside, the fast-paced offense, and the passing prowess that people are not giving enough credit to Jayden Daniels. He can be a league winner this year. Okay, getting a little bit closer to the top 5 of this list. Malik Nabers checking in as number 7 on the list. The talent is there. You've seen all the training camp highlights. You know the acumen and the prospect profile that he brings to the NFL. There is nobody on this Giants roster that is going to compete for targets with him this year. Look at the entirety of this Giants offense. Nobody on this roster commanded over a 16.9% target share last year. Nobody's probably going to do that again this year. Maybe you got a little bit of hope left for Bijan Robinson, Jalen Hyatt. These are not the players you need to be concerned about. Malik Nabers is going to vacuum up target volume this year. And all we need is league average quarterback play out of Daniel Jones. I know we didn't get that last year. Last year was the worst run out you could possibly, if you were a Giants hater, even in your wildest dreams, you probably wouldn't have dreamed for that type of run out for that offense. The offensive line fell apart. Daniel Jones got hurt. Saquon Barkley was the only part of that offense we could count on weekly. Malik Nabers is going to be awesome in his rookie season. He can be a guy who gets 140 targets, maybe 150 targets. That's not insane, considering the talent or the lack of talent around him and the talent that Malik Nabers has just by his lonesome. Draft him confidently this year. It's going to pay off. All right, before we break into the top 6 of this list, if you want to master your draft with the Draft Wizard, you got to be using it, people. Our tools, and specifically the Draft Wizard, offers simulated mock drafts that let you practice and refine your draft strategy against realistic opponents. Get personalized pick recommendations based on expert rankings, ADP, and projections, ensuring you make the best choices at every stage of your draft. Analyze your draft results instantly with our Draft Analyzer, which provides feedback and insights to help you improve. If you sync your league with just a few clicks, you can leverage draft intel to see your league mates' draft trends and strategies, and then perform a simulated mock draft against them using your league settings. You make informed decisions, avoid common pitfalls, and draft with confidence. You got to try Draft Wizard today at fantasypros.com/draftwizard or on the Fantasy Pros Draft Wizard app and dominate your league. Okay, breaking into the top 6 of the list, people. Let's get in. Let's strap in. Let's go. Number 6 on the list, Drake London. I get that people have problems about projecting Drake London high and saying, oh, he hasn't done it yet. He's going to do it this season. If you're waiting to see it, you're going to be behind the curve in a lot of different instances in fantasy. Drake London is another fantastic example of this. We've already seen the talent that he possesses. Go back to his rookie season. The target share he was commanding, the yards per route run, all of these things. All we need is volume, and we're getting it this year injected into this passing offense. Zach Robinson is going to bring the heat. Drake London is going to crush as a high-end wide receiver 1. All right, well, I know that we've gone through a lot of players for this list so far. We have not talked about a single tight end. That stops here, people, with my number 5 player, Trey McBride. He can be a player that tilts leagues in your favor if you draft him in 2024. What we saw out of McBride in weeks 8 through 18 last year was fantastic. He was averaging 15 fantasy points per game. He was commanding a 25.8% target share, producing 2.16 yards per route run while averaging 65.5 receiving yards per game, as well as checking in with a wonderful 0.112 first downs per route run. I know I threw a lot of numbers at you there. Here's the easy button for all of those numbers. If you take those stats amongst 50 qualifying tight ends, pace them out for the whole season, here is where Trey McBride would have ranked in those 5 stat categories. First. Oh, you seeing a trend? Trey McBride's awesomeness. Second, third, first. This is why Trey McBride is my tight end 1 overall in my rankings, and why he can be a league winning player for you this season. He's awesome and he's going to crush. Okay, getting to number 4 on the list. This is the home run swing you can take in every single one of your drafts. I get it, it's pricey, but you need to take it. Achane. Look at what he did last year, people. In the sample that we got, 8 games where he played at least 41% of the snaps. Just 41%. He averaged 14.2 touches, 113.8 total yards per game. We know the efficiency of the tackle breaking, the big play ability that he has. I don't want Achane to be a 20 to 25 touch player per game. Don't want that. Give me 15 to 17 touches. Achane hitting home runs just left and right, baby. Crushing it. Long touchdowns in one of the best offenses in the NFL. Achane, while a lot of people think he's pricey in drafts, and I get there's some risk, you got to risk it for the biscuit. You want the championship trophy? You want that sitting on your bookshelf, on your mantle? You want to sit here and just lord that over people for years to come? Then draft Achane this year. All right, getting into the top 3 of the list. Player that I've talked about in previous seasons and everything. Again, we're talking about what could have gone wrong, went wrong last year. That all happened for A.J. Brown and the Philadelphia Eagles offense. It is going to be revitalized with Kellen Moore in town. A.J. Brown is a stud. We've seen him produce just based off of raw talent. And yes, they've run a lot of plays for Philly the last 2 years. This year, if we get, for the first time ever for Jalen Hurts in this offense, if we get not only a pace-up offense, but a high passing rate offense, A.J. Brown has wide receiver 1 overall upside. And you might just, shrug your shoulders and say, okay, whatever. You know the efficiency is there. You know the talent is there. We saw it last year down the stretch, that just monster stretch of games where A.J. Brown was pulling his best Cooper Kupp, his best Tyreek Hill impression last year. What if we get that for the entirety of the season? And a revitalized offense, Jalen Hurts putting up MVP level numbers. I'm not telling you Devontae Smith is going to be bad, but we know who the true alpha is for the Philadelphia Eagles. A.J. Brown could absolutely tilt leagues and be a league-winning player for you. All right, getting to the pricier players on this list. And if I'm taking shots in the first round on a running back, and I think they have league-winning upside, which you should do if you're drafting a running back in the first round, we all know the usual names. There's Christian McCaffrey. Good luck if you don't have the top 2 pick in your draft on getting him. We know about Breece Hall. We need to also begin the discussion again for Bijan Robinson. I get if you were burned by him in previous years and you were hurt last year by drafting him and expecting him to smash. Those things that did not come to fruition were not a Bijan Robinson problem. They were an Arthur Smith problem. Arthur Smith is gone. That problem has been erased. Bijan Robinson could be unleashed this year and be the clear RB1 overall this season. We know the talent is there. He was the RB12 and expected fantasy points per game. Inside of what? That broken Falcons offense, what I talked about earlier with Drake London. I want pieces of this offense. I already talked about Drake London and having league-winning upside. So does Bijan Robinson. If this offense does what we think it can do, it's going to be consolidated. Bijan Robinson has the talent. We know the pass game upside can be there. The tackle breaking ability is there as well. This offense, if it goes to the moon, it's not only going to be Drake London, it's going to be Bijan Robinson as well. The number 1 player that has league-winning upside that I want you to be drafting a ton in 2024 is Anthony Richardson. You can get QB1 overall upside in the 5th, maybe 6th round, depending on your league. That is what you need to be drafting in every single format you possibly can. I'm not telling you don't. Okay, I mentioned Jayden Daniels. Okay, fine. You want to wait on Jayden Daniels? That's fine. The price is not prohibitive on Anthony Richardson. For a player that, in the full games we saw, he averaged more fantasy points per game than Josh Allen did last year. He had the most fantasy points per dropback. If we're talking about a Colts offense that's improved from last year, we get health in the offensive line. We get Anthony Richardson running in touchdowns, playing in a Shane Steichen offense, taking shots downfield. Also, passing better than what people give him credit for this year. Anthony Richardson has league-winning upside. I know that you probably have heard that already, but I'm just going to tell you again. You need to draft him. He has QB1 overall upside this year. It's going to be amazing. All right, people. That is the top 12 players that have league winning upside you need to be garnering in your drafts. Again, head over there, get entered to this pristine auction giveaway, download the Draft Wizard app, enjoy all the free swag that you can get entered for Fantasy Pros with our amazing partners, and enjoy drafting league winners this year in fantasy.